Hi, I'm Lada from astrolada.com with your April 2018 videos. Saturn is going retrograde. We'll be required to work extra hard for the next 5 months in certain areas of our life and eliminate things from there. While Mercury is going direct this month, which is great news because some complications that happened the first part of the month will be resolved by the second. I'll walk you through everything. Just a quick announcement though. Making 30% off webinars that I'm making in March, one with Robert Phoenix on Chiron in Aries. It's only $29. He'll make personal predictions how it will affect you. It will be about healing something, healing wounds that have been deep-seated in us from birth, that are the most painful areas of our life. He will make personal predictions and world predictions. It's only $29 till the 24th of March. And the other webinar is with Krasi, Babylonian astrologer, on the 31st of March. Again, it's 30% off till the 31st of March. It's about ancient magical astrology for modern times, practical solutions and remedies for love, for heartbreak, for financial and career problems. So she will teach you how to make talismans, how to use astrology to remedy difficult situations, the way the ancient did it, how to make also special rituals in order to strengthen your certain indications in your life and in your horoscope, like love, money, you know. So do come and join us. Can't wait to see you. Virgo, April 2018, and that's for anyone who has their ascendant, in particular sun or even moon in Virgo. You'll see how they all manifest on different levels in your life. So if you have time to watch the 3 signs, fantastic, so you get the full picture. If not, at least watch your ascendant sign, or if you don't know your time of birth, your sun sign. Okay, so what is happening with Virgo this month? Let's start with the more difficult influences. Well, we're gonna have at the beginning of the month, and actually the whole month of April, the 2 malefics. We call them malefics because they always kind of, they don't necessarily bring bad things. They just stress us into achieving things, and they stress us into correcting mistakes, and they kind of trigger developments that are more intense for us. They don't happen with ease, just things coming to you. So we have to work a bit extra hard. That's why we call them malefics, because no one likes to work extra hard. But they're joining together, Saturn and Mars, in your 5th house, Virgo. So especially the first 10 days and the end of March as well. The end of March, they're very close together, and the beginning of April, I'd say the first week, certain matters related to the 5th house can escalate to challenge you, to change something, and it's happening in a cardinal sign. Cardinal signs are about changing direction, about taking a totally new, different path of some sort, of making, initiating changes of some sort, you know. So 5th house is, let's say first is children, so there might be something that challenges you a bit more in regards to your children. The needs some kind of stressing, some extra responsibilities and duties, or maybe something is happening in their life that they require more of your support, and you might be clashing with children because at the same time Mercury, the planet that rules you, is making a difficult aspect. This is a 90-degree aspect here from the 8th house. So you are Mercury, and Mercury is retrograde, and it's stressing planets. It's stressing with planets in the 5th house. So you personally, especially the first part of April, might have some clashes with children, or if it's not clashes, it might be, and Mercury is in the 8th house of power struggles, so, you know, there might be some power struggles there. Or it might play in another way. Your child might require you to mobilize yourself a bit more and put extra efforts in helping them in some way, or doing something for them, you know, in some way. The 5th house though also is not only children. This is our creative projects, anything that we create, that we have created from a baby. It's a child, or it might be a business project, it might be a website you're developing, something that you're putting your personal intelligence in, and your personal creative genius or creative input into. So it might be like, business project that you're working in, and that you are the main or that you are the one putting and pouring your creativity there in some way. It doesn't necessarily need to be painting on art, or it can be, you know, it can be something business related, but you're directly responsible towards that thing, in a sense that you're the one that is thinking of that it's your idea in some way, some idea that you're working, some creative idea and some inspiration that you're working on, that kind of, you see, requires extra efforts from you, because your Mercury requires you to mobilize your own resources and the resources that come to you from others in the 8th house. So maybe you might need to ask for support, 8th house, from others in the first part of April, in order for some creative project to overcome some snag, to overcome some blockage, or to help you move that creative project or that business project that you're working on to the next level, because something stagnates or something is challenged there, and you need to organize yourself, Mercury. And you might have to slow down your progress a little bit, you know, because Mercury is retrograde till the middle, and to fix some mistakes in regards to creative projects. Maybe you're taking out some project out on the market, and you're the one in charge of, you know, the image of the project, how you're gonna advertise it, because it's all creative power you're using there. So you have to fix it a bit more, Mercury, difficult aspect, those planets in the 5th house. But to mobilize a lot of your skills, Mercury is you. Mercury rules you, Virgo, you know. For you have to redo it a few times, maybe put extra efforts in it. And you might kind of be even having some power struggles in regards to how to do it as well. But you might be asked also to kind of dig deeper in not only your own resources, but ask for another person support and help that can come to you, that maybe was offered to you in the past, and you have to accept it now, so this person can help you. You know, and even someone might be offering their help, which is 8th house, help from others. It might be advice or resources or money or support from others that you don't find very welcoming, because it's a difficult aspect there, or that you might have to go and ask for, even though you don't feel comfortable. So you kind of, this difficult aspect indicates you have to come out of your comfort zone to ask for some support, even if you don't feel uncomfortable, to help some creative problem, or to help problem with children or with lovers. We'll speak about that in a bit. Some business project of some sort as well, because 5th house rules all those things. Or that you have to accept, maybe unwillingly, the help and support that comes to you from another, that they can, you know, they might have to, you might feel like meddling into some project of yours, into some creative projects, but or it might feel like you're being given critical advice, or you're being told what to do with your children from someone who is offering their help, which is not welcome, but actually can help you, you know. Actually, we should not dismiss those things. We can feel irritated by them when it's a difficult aspect, but you should look for the silver lining and how this actually can help you. So you see, it can play in very different ways. I hope one of them makes sense to you. You might have come back again to listen to this video to see how astrology works and how it's developing in your life, you know. But don't worry, from the middle of... and also 8th house is other people's resources. So there might be the need to... look children and other people's resources. If you're divorced and expect money from a partner to pay alimony for a child, or maybe there might be some clash. Maybe you ask your partner to pay for a camping for your child, or for some hobby your child wants to go to, or for something, and your partner is resisting there. Or maybe you have a creative project or some new inspiration that you want to follow, and you're and this clashes with your mutual resources with your partner, or you know, or maybe if you're not divorced, you're married, a partner, you have mutual resources, you have money together, but you don't see eye to eye on how to spend that money. There's some tension that happens the first part of the month, and maybe there is some expense that comes, difficult aspect in regards to your mutual resources, because of some kind of indulgence. The 5th house is having fun, and you know, and you having to kind of restrict more because of some kind of complication between your mutual resources, you know, you have to restrict yourself in regards to having fun in some way, because there is a clash there, difficult aspect. So that's another way it can play out. So you might need to kind of, especially Mars and Saturn, they use harsh methods in the 5th house of having fun, restricting yourself having fun, or kind of making some changes which impacts your mutual resources with your partner, which can even a bit create a little bit of power struggles, you know. Or if it's a business partnership, for example, the resources that come to you from your clients, there needs to be there might be some tension between where to invest resources that come to you from business, 8th house, from business partnership, and how to invest it back into the business, or how to invest it into some new creative project. For example, there might be a clash there, so be more careful the first part of the month. But 5th house is also romantic partners. And be more careful with mutual resources overall, with taxes as well. The 8th house, where Mercury is being retrograde, you might be asked to work hard till the middle of April and put extra efforts in regards to something to do with taxes, with inheritances, with secret resources, with resources that are hidden, that others are not aware of, that something can escalate, you know, especially you might be challenged through authority figures or some other way. So this is areas to be more careful about. But Mercury starts moving direct, which means that change is coming from the middle of April. It starts moving direct, and it will make another last difficult aspect to Saturn in the 5th house. So if there was any complications in regards to mutual resources, in regards to taxes, inheritances, insurances, in regards to money that comes to you from banks or clients and stuff like that, you kind of, if you had to work extra hard on such things, you know, and balancing it with a business or with your sorry, my mind is going a bit numb now. But if there was such complications, they start getting resolved towards the end of April. So yes, you have to put some extra efforts at the beginning part of the month, but the end part of the month, you've sorted them out, you've worked very hard, you pushed on that, you know, and the end of those complications is over, and you're like, phew, that was a bit hard, but thankfully now I've resolved those issues. The end of April, you see the end of it as well. And because you start moving direct, you, as symbolized by Mercury, you also start finding that things go more according to your plan. So the first part of the month is not so according to plan. You have to put extra effort, you have to make different plans. But the second part of the month, you start coming into a more predictable and a more smooth and easier to navigate period. Actually, the most interesting periods in life, and when the most interesting things happen, are when planets are making difficult aspects to each other, they're retrograde. So it's much more action and interest and intense the first part of April. Then you start, you know, things start going according to plan. And what is helping you though? And by the way, I'll speak this at the end, but what is helping you? Venus is in the 9th house here in Taurus. Can be a great time. And by the way, my relocated ascendant is Virgo, so I listen to the transits for my Virgo ascendant. I become a clean freak. I used to be so messy. Relocated charts work so well, just to tell you, especially if you're gonna live there for a long time. You know, you start feeling more and more like your relocated chart, and you see the transits there. So I become so Virgo-ish, like I Hoover every day, and I get excited to buy Hoovers and to organize and systemize. That's so not me. That was the opposite. It's easier to stay slim as well. But anyway, more nervous energy, work, become a workaholic. I just am a stickler for cleanliness and order now. So this is relevant for me, obviously, responsibilities and duties with children, but Venus is helping. So what is helping us here? What is helping you, Virgos? When the going gets tough, whatever Venus sends beautiful aspects to those two difficult planets in the first 10 days, where the tension is biggest when Mercury is making the difficult aspects to them. Venus is helping. So who is helping you? The ninth house. Who is helping you is maybe go, ninth house is spiritual literature, reading some spiritual literature, asking for advice. Ninth house is divine counsel, is inspiration that comes to you, whether through mentors, through teachers. You can even open a YouTube video, and this can help you resolve some of those stresses that are happening in the first, or give you a perspective. In the ninth house is getting a higher perspective, so you have easy access, Venus, to higher perspective, which allows you to kind of soothe some of the stresses that are happening in this fifth house and eighth house. So whether it's things that you're working out with taxes, with issues, whether it's working about your business or with children, extra responsibilities, or problems with lovers, problems with loved ones, with dating and romance. Maybe something is stressing your love life as well. Fifth house, I forgot to mention, especially the first part of the month can be a bit more complicated because of issues of trust, because Mercury is making square from the eighth house of trust, because of issues of give and receive, who gives how much, who receives how much. Fifth house is how well we can love, you know, and how balanced we can, giving from the heart, you know, in relationships. And eighth house is where we exchange also on the intimacy level, is the sex house. So if there's some complications with your sex life, or that you have to clarify to yourself in the first 15 days in your romantic life, that you're being challenged, that you're feeling more critical towards a romantic partner, or how much you give and receive and you don't feel like it's equal, or maybe a partner is accusing you that the give and receive, the eighth house, the resources that you share, or that the things you do for each other are kind of detracting from, they're not balanced, or they're not equal, and they're detracting from the ability to love each other, the fifth house. So if such issues arrive, or even if you're not in a relationship, you might be like, some situation might be challenging you about, you know, how you give and receive love and express love, and how lovable you feel, and how worthy of love you feel. Something can be stressing you in that direction big time, and making you question the loyalty, eighth house, of others, the trust that you have towards others, and making you also, eighth house is examining yourself on a deep psychological level. Why are those issues of my love life coming? Why there are blockages in my love life, or why there are problems with this lover? And examining yourself in a deep way. Something escalates, but what helps us is this Venus in the ninth house. So open up YouTube, watch an inspirational video from Abraham Hicks, or watch an astrological. Ninth house is counsel that comes from astrologers, that comes from people that are gurus, teachers, mentors, some advice that can come to you. It might even come from a female friend, Venus, that it has, just because she's not into your problem, into the problem that's happening with your children, or with your creative business project, or some kind of a romantic experience, as I said. All those are fifth house things, something to do with your self-esteem. Someone can give you a higher perspective because they're not stuck in your issues right now. They have a different perspective. Ask for someone. This is what helps you. Venus in the ninth house. Advice, or kind of counsel, higher perspective from another. Also go on a little trip. Ninth house is far away places. If you can travel out of state, this can help release some of the tension, especially maybe the second part of the month when Mercury is direct. This will be easier to do, or less complicated, traveling out of state, out of country, to get a different perspective, to help kind of resolve the tension of this fifth house as well. And also you can meet romantic relationship. Venus is romance and love, connected to foreign, connected to while you're on a trip somewhere, and that can help heal some of the issues of self-esteem and self-love and romantic love that you have. So this is where the help is coming, especially, you know, the whole month basically Venus is in this ninth house, and if you need to correct some situation like that, just do those ninth house things. Either travel a little bit, read some spiritual literature, higher literature, ask for counsel from a teacher, guru, someone with a different perspective, you know. So yeah, that's how it can, that's how I see, that's how I was inspired to interpret now the planets, you know, for you Virgos. But you know, anyway, the second part of the month becomes easier and easier because Mercury turns direct. It will have another square aspect with Saturn, but it's resolution of complications and problems that were happening. So you're required to make changes and to take difficult decisions with 5th house matters, creative projects, children, lovers, love, you know, business and creative projects, and 8th house resources that comes to you through others, give and receive from others, taxes, inheritances. And one last thing is Saturn is going retrograde in your 5th house. This 5th house will be so active for the next year for you and for the year after that. Then we have the South Node entering there, and the Saturn is there, and Pluto is there. So a lot of you Virgos for the next 2 years are working issues of self-esteem and self-love and how you express yourself. Saturn wants you to have to master your self-expression in a way that is more, how do I say, more stable, but also to remove things that are undermining your love life. Saturn is the death with the sky that wants to chop off the things that no longer work in your life. So when it's retrograde, this is when the most intense work is being done, and it's going to be retrograde in your 5th house from April, the end, from the 19th of April approximately till September this year. But it's going to go retrograde also 2019, approximately around that time again in your 5th house, and part of 2020. So you have another 2 years almost to work on those things. But now is the first time Saturn goes retrograde in your 5th house, so those issues for Virgos become very intense. What is it they're doing wrong that is blocking their life, a love life? What is it they're doing wrong that is blocking their ability to enjoy life? 5th house is the ability to have fun, to enjoy yourself, to do the things that make you truly inspired, to live a life that is co-creating together with God. It's a life that is creative life, that is inspired life, that makes you feel joy of life. But Saturn, how it works is that it first shows you what is not working. So it kind of escalates problems there and makes you aware of the things that are blocking you to have this co-creative life, to express yourself in more authentic ways, to be loved, to give and receive love as well. You know, when you remove those issues of, when you become co-creator, when you remove blockages from the 5th house, you naturally attract love. You naturally attract adoration from others because you allow your sun to shine, and people are drawn to it like moth to a flame. Especially romantic partners will be drawn to it. So when we have romantic problems, it's usually due to this blockage here, some blockage that happens in the 5th house of self-expression, because we're not co-creating, we're not authentically, we're not co-creating authentically, we're not self-expressing ourselves in an authentic way. You know, the people that have the most problems in their life, love life, and attracting romantically partners, not necessarily in their marriage life, but at least attracting others towards them romantically. They might be married for 20 years but have a miserable exchange of love with their partner, and this is the 5th house. Do you feel happy and inspired in your exchange of love with others? And if you have a difficult 5th house, usually these are people that are not comfortable in their own skin, because the 5th house is just shining like a king and loving what you're doing and loving your life and co-creating your life. And they usually feel like, you know, they try to they act out of ego, they have defensive walls, you know. And Saturn in the 5th house transiting, especially when it goes retrograde, helps you work out through those defenses of the ego, of what is inauthentic, how you're expressing yourself in ways that they're trying to be someone else, or because they think society expects something from them, or because they think it works for their friend. They're trying to be someone else. They're not themselves. They're not creating the authentic path that is meant for them, which is the 5th house. They might try to be more according to what is expected to them or what works for others, rather than look within and see what is truly there uniqueness. This is the fifth house of self-expression, and develop their own talents. The fifth house is our talents, our talents we're born with. And when you're not working with those talents, with those inspirations, with those natural talents you're born with, when you're not even aware of them, this is when your light is not shining. This is when there is blockage also that directly translates into your ability to enjoy life, to feel happy, to have self-confidence, and your ability to attract happy love. So this is what Saturn wants you to help master for the next 2.5 years. It becoming retrograde in your fifth house, Virgo. The process, the intense process of self-discovery and yourself through the how do I say, of whittling away those gifts and those activities actually that detract from your co-creative powers and ability to enjoy yourself. They're gonna be removed from you. And also some love relationships, some lovers, people that you're dating if you're still not married, that are no longer, that you've attracted through not being authentically yourself, or that you've attracted through pained ego, that you've attracted from a position of less power rather than position of joyful co-creation. These people will be removed from your life. These relationships, love relationship, will be tested. Any behaviors that you have with your spouse, or you know, someone that you're in love with, which are unproductive, which stem from hurtful ego, again, will be exposed to you and will become more intense. And hopefully, if you're conscious enough, you'd realize where it's coming from, and you'll realize that it's you not expressing yourself in the most authentic ways. That's why it's coming, and you try and find more meaningful, deeper joys in your life that are aligned with your true talents. And when you start expressing those true talents, you'll be much more self-authentically expressing yourself as well, and that will help you correct, because Saturn is about correcting and mastering love relationships in your life. I know it sounds too psychological, but hopefully you're finding the connection there. Hopefully you're trying to understand Mercury's retrograde for a big part of April, so you can be more introspective and hopefully dig a bit deeper. But some kind of a very deep process of, you know, this fifth house where Saturn is going retrograde as well, deep awareness, and usually triggered by some challenges, or if you're introspective naturally, you'll just be digging within yourself. You'll be just working on those issues and understanding them, and what is blocking your authentic self-expression, what are your true gifts that will start coming to the surface for you to master them, implement them, and improve the joy you feel from life, and the ability to attract happiness in love relationships. So thank you so much. And yes, if you want to learn astrology with us, check out the new courses and webinars we have for March and April. I'm very excited. I always try and find the best astrologers around the world and the best teachers. Thank you so much. And I will see you next month.